Everyone, it's Namsa here at Ngosi Talk Shows, Find Your Own Voice, Lead from Within. With me today, I have Carol Ann Cooper and Shireen Groove. Carol Ann, you chose the topic Embracing Success as Natural in All Fields of Life. Could you please explain the topic to our audience?
Absolutely. And it came out of a conversation that I was part of. It's a book that I've contributed a chapter to.
Ooh.
And it's called The Secrets of 99 Successful Women. And I don't know if I just pop it there, you'll be able to see. Oops.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
I can't show all of it because I think it disappears. I'm not sure. There's a virtual screen, does it? Virtual background. But in listening to other people's stories, it shows that success means different things to different people. And it also, as we were talking, we realized that very often we don't embrace our own success because, somebody can say to us, oh, yeah, I'm successful. We'll go, really? It just felt like normal. So I guess it's about embracing things as being successful, recognizing what is success and being able to define success for you. What stops you actually acknowledging that you're being successful? So I thought this would be a great topic to discuss because, we very often hold ourselves back because we're not embracing our success. We're playing it down, we're putting it down. And I know I was very much, I don't know if I've got something to put in the book. And then I thought, hang on, this is successful. And realizing as I looked at other people's in there, there is such a wide range of success stories. You cannot put yours down as not being successful, So, yeah, I just thought, what a great topic. Let's pull it to pieces, chew it up and see, maybe there'll be something that resonates with our audience. Someone might just hopefully go, oh, well, actually, I was successful there and I didn't acknowledge it. And hopefully then it might just inspire them to keep going with something that maybe they gave up on because they didn't feel they were being successful. They didn't see themselves as being successful. So that's where it came from. So what are you seeing out of that, Shireen?
Yeah, while you were speaking, it kind of really reminded me a lot of women with imposter syndrome, right? Because imposter syndrome is really about validating outward things, on validating ourselves through what we do. Basically, that's what it is. And if we're kind of caught up in this story that we have got to be doing, which it means that we end up constantly on this roller coaster and we don't see that point of where we've completed something as a point of success. We see it as the next journey to the next thing. So we're always trying to catch success, even though we've already achieved it, which is really, really crazy. And one of the weirdest things is very often when you've got to that point, so you've written an exam and you've got an amazing result, and I know that one for me, and I wrote a book, and I didn't shout to everybody, hey, guess what? Hey, I've done this wonderful thing. And what happened is I just didn't see it as successful because I was already looking at I had already moved my margin for what success was about. So it's really, and I think it's a really great topic, even though I didn't understand it to start off with. But now as you were talking, I was going, oh, yeah, I understand that now. I think the real key is to really find a space where we can help people truly see success. Because sometimes you can say to them, but you've really done this, you've really done that, and they don't believe it. They really don't believe it because there's this part of them that is so programmed to believe that they're only good by what they do, instead of being good by who you are first. You as a person are successful. The fact that you can wake up in the morning,
Yes.
you're successful, right? You got through the night, you're here, and you're ready for the next day. So, you know, the fact that maybe you've managed to clean your house, which you might not have been able to do, or sort out something in a planner or something like that. These are all these tiny bits of success, which we seem to see it as very frivolous or not worthwhile, or we've downgraded a lot of our success. Yeah. And yeah, I've been doing a little bit of work on looking on whole brain thinking and what goes on with whole brain thinking. And we have a really wonderful part of our brain that likes to kind of do all these things, spend time looking at success and achieving, but it's always often driven by fear. And when we start looking at ourselves successfully, when we start turning towards ourselves, often the fear drive goes, and we're a lot kinder to ourselves, and we're more likely then to see little things as successful, and then we build that sense of self-esteem because we know we've got success. Yeah.
I love what you're saying about that, constantly trying to catch success.
Yes.
Something you're running after. Next one. No, I haven't got it yet.
Yeah,
I'm chasing it.
Yeah. You go into an exam and you're already writing, well, this is what I'll be doing next, so that this just gets lost.
Yes. Yeah. So it comes back to being in the moment, doesn't it? Being present and stop being in the future. And you're saying about move your margins for success. You know, it's a case of you keep just shifting the goalposts, and I feel that's what's happened to me over the years since I've been on this personal development journey of trying to create a business, or the trainings that I've done and all the learnings that I've had and experiences. There's a lot of times I've said to myself, it feels like I'm being dangled a carrot, but then it moves and then it moves. It's like I never seem to quite get there. So I'm constantly going towards that, which is, again, it's that chasing success. So I've never really stopped and looked, well, what have you actually achieved? And when I actually stop and look back now at the amount of training that I did, what I learned in quite a relatively short space of time was phenomenal. And my whole body, you know, the sort of like past life experiences, ancestral traumas that I cleared, and within my physical body, the healings that happened, my whole being, I became so much calmer. It was like I completely didn't get that one for a long time.
Okay, Carol Ann, hold on there. How did you clear your ancestral trauma? Or is it the question that I need to ask you after?
I don't know.
Somebody may want to know, because I'm so curious. I like to know things.
Well, it comes up in various processes that we do. And there's one, it is a timeline therapy that we do. And it's like, there's an emotional one, or there's a limiting belief one process that we do. And in the setup question, it's going to the root cause, and it asks the question, is this passed down to you genealogically, or is it past lives? So you're asking the unconscious mind to answer. It's nothing conscious, and you'll get the response come up, whether it is ancestral or whether it's genealogically or past lives. So that's one way of clearing, because then it says, well, how many lifetimes ago, or how many generations ago? Yeah. And that's a really powerful tool, is the timeline therapy processes. And I mean, it just shifts things really quickly. Other ways are actually just asking in your body with other processes. So like the journey work, where you do a guided visualization into the body, or there's an emotional drop through, you come to a memory. And you actually work with, you bring in a mentor, which is your higher self or a guide, or just someone that you, in whose wisdom you trust. And you ask there, is there any cords or any ancestral stuff that needs to be cleared? Or you have a campfire process where ancestors can be brought to the campfire. You could be talking to someone, and it just comes out naturally. So it is part of the process, but the healing that happens is phenomenal.
What do you do with them when you bring them into fire?
It's not into the fire, it's to the campfire, not into the fire.
Okay.
Yeah, no, to the language. Our language is great, isn't it? Into the fire rather than to the fire. To the campfire. You bring them to the campfire, and then you have a conversation with one person related to the upset or the incident or what it is that is shown up, the memory. And it's a dialogue, a conversation between you and that person, but everyone else can listen. And of course, by they're listening in, they get the whole shift in conversation as well. And it's amazing what can come what can come out. There's been times that I've people that I've brought to the campfire, and who I've spoken with, and what's come out is like, you get an opportunity to really speak from the pain, speak from what happened. And it's that younger you at the time that the incident happened to. And the other person then gets an opportunity to speak back. So you move into speaking as that other person. And you then really get to know and realize and learnings that maybe that there was a learning there, or that actually that person they actually realize that what they did wasn't right, and that you end up coming to a place of forgiveness. You never know where the conversation is going to go, to be honest. You just have to let it go, and if it feels like it's getting a bit stuck, you ask the mentor, which is your higher wisdom, what needs to happen here now. Who needs to speak? Is there someone else that needs to say something? And there are some other little processes we can do to go even deeper in that moment. So again, it's always your higher self that is guiding this journey. But you always come to a place of forgiveness where you can then forgive. And it's not forgiving or condoning what happened. It's actually forgiving the soul of that person. And then you forgive yourself. So there's that younger you, and there's that higher you, the present day you as well, that has a conversation. And then when it's all complete, you then just have a conversation with that younger you and just say, I'm so sorry. You just didn't have access to the resources that I do now. And I promise that you will never have to go through that again, because you can have access to the tools and resources that I have. And you invite them then to grow up inside of you. And then the campfire disappears, and you carry on with the journey, whichever journey it is. And you really can feel something shift in you. If it's the physical journey where you've gone inside, you see in your body, you see things have changed in some way, whether there's smells changed, or there's something visual has changed, or even the sounds, or a feeling, you feel under your feet. It's changed. If it's the emotions, you can just go back up through the emotional levels, and you just feel a lot lighter. So very, very powerful processes. As a practitioner, we combine both the physical and the emotional journey together as well. So that's another way of clearing ancestral or past life stuff. But there are many other tools out there. I think in some of my educate work, there are balances where we say, is this a past life, or is it it's past life or ancestral? And again, it's asking your body. So I think there are also people that actually just deal straight with past life.
I use the scriptures. I gather them together and I chase them out.
That's another way of doing it.
Oh yes, I gather them together because if you have ancestral past life, that is putting a stronghold. That causes so much pain. It causes so much stronghold. It causes so many things, because the dead and the living, they're not meant to mix. But because of our thoughts and our mind, we don't want to let go of that past, and we don't know what our forefathers did. Or it could be it could be like a blood crying against your ancestral life. And that can affect the bloodline success as well. So you have to, it goes deep. Me, I just gather them together and I just chase them out. And sometimes they fight, they don't want to go. And I just have to say the reasons why they need to go. And then they go. But so what do you do, Shireen?
Well, I probably have different beliefs about it, but I have no doubt that, I have no doubt that ancestral healing works, and I do believe in it, but I tend to come from it from a different perspective, in the sense that I call it just an energetic trace. And I think certainly when you're working with men, it's a lot, very sort of right, left brain men really find it very hard. So you've got to find a way to explain stuff that's very different. And one of the ways is really about, we carry an energetic charge. We all do. And basically allowing people to understand, because we know from science, we carry things intergenerationally as a frequency or as a change on our DNA. So yes, absolutely, Carol Ann, the moment you do work and you get a different change, you're unlocking the DNA. You're literally doing that. Yeah. But for someone who doesn't really subscribe to ancestral healing or whatever, for them, it's really about just really saying, your brain will come up with a way to make sense of this reality you're experiencing. Yeah. These feelings are ancient feelings, because we have this resonance that comes through us. When you're small, when you're born, you are born with your left and your right side of your emotional centers fully intact. So that means these memories that have been learnt, they come with you, right? Because they're fully intact. Everything we do after birth, particularly that's going to be involving with our upper brain, our cortex, we've got to develop connections for those. They're heavily influenced by the emotional brain in how they grow and how we respond to the environment. But the fact is, they are born. We're born with it, right? Which means we carry it. It's there, that resonance, that frequency. So when we do some work, whether it doesn't matter whether it's past life or not, and I have gone to people that have landed in a past life. I just go, okay, where are you? Okay, what do you understand about this place? Right. Invariably, it's normally you're doing a little bit of time-like work, or I'm doing some work which is like, go with the sensation or the feeling, and I say, go inside it. God, they've landed somewhere. And all you really do is work with what's in that moment. Yeah. And all you want to do, as you said, Carol Ann, is that you want to get them to, you want to bring the awareness that you have learned now to that time back then. Yeah. So that those alter egos or those frequencies have an opportunity to unravel, right? Those locks unravel within our DNA. And that gives us the ability then to really be incredibly compassionate to the person that's had this life. Because, what we know now is very different from what people knew 40 years ago, even 60 years ago, or 100 years ago, or whatever. They were still living more in the fright flight, whereas we're moving more into this new dimension where we're kind of paying attention to a greater level of being, right? Which we're striving now to connect more about connecting our spirit with our thoughts. We're trying to bring it together and have this whole brain thinking. They couldn't have that because the concept or the understanding wasn't there. So you're carrying something where understanding was kind of misconstructed, right? So when you go back in, you start to give them, when you start to go in, you start to look at it from this place of they did not know. They absolutely did not know. And if they did know, they would have done things differently. Absolutely. And so, because we know that with that hindsight, they would have seen the wood from the trees. They would have been able to see what would have been the prediction of life without this. And that's where you get your beautiful gem, right? That's where that compassion is where you can shift and change that. And once you feel that, oh, right, so that's what happened. I mean, even if you just go back to a normal past event and you kind of realize from an adult, oh my goodness, I didn't see that, and that. Already your whole perception of that event has changed. Already. So what's the real skill is when you're with someone, or if you're able to do it yourself, is to be able to stay in that place of presence and say, okay, right now, this is just a frequency. This is something that's happened in the past, but I know that you would have wanted something differently. I know that if you had known this, it would have been different. And that then allows you to free up a whole lot of stuff. So you can either, at that point, give them a mentor. You can give them you can do all sorts of crazy things. You can give them a mentor. You can give them, you can help them jump in the fire if that's the case. You can do whatever it is that you want, because this world that you've now created is like psychoactive space. It's all around you. It's very real to your body. It's not so real necessarily to your mind, but it is real to your body. And that's where that's the beautiful part, because your body then unlocks it. Your body then does the work.
Yeah. And I think, just in case people get the wrong idea, it's not about you making them jump into the fire if you want to.
Exactly.
It's about they're in charge of whatever the experience is.
Yeah.
And if that came up within them to something to do, then yes, they could step into the fire, because maybe there's something
like Andy Robinson? He goes and walks upon fire. Well, there we are. Woohoo!
Anthony Robbins.
And Robbins, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we could have them firewalking instead, rather than jumping in the fire.
I know. I've done the firewalk. Done it about 4 or 5 times, actually.
Wow.
5 times?
Yeah.
Really?
And it is just...
That is a dedication, Carol Ann.
I did it as a participant the first time. The other times I was a crew member, and we were able to redo the firewalk. But I also actually a couple of times helped to build the fire. I was part of the fire crew, and that in itself was a fabulous experience. Clearing the car park, literally sweeping it, because people would be out there in bare feet, so we had to sweep the car park, or the stones, the grit, and then set the fire. But it was a very blessed space. Before the fire was lit, there was a prayer put over it, but yeah, just sort of wheeling the hot coals to the different lanes was another thing as well. I shall never forget. I was wheeling this barrow of hot coals. The person in front of me was going, "Hot coals coming through, hot coals coming through." Can you imagine? It's thousands of people, orderly sort of queuing up and doing this. It's an amazing, amazing experience. But actually just standing there about to walk over the coals, it is about thinking, well, what's, what am I going to do? 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 What am I going to do out there, you're not focused on, oh gosh, this is going to be hard. Oh. It's like, no, I want a breakthrough. And you literally, and I was amazed at how quickly, boom, boom, boom. And I'm going, oh my goodness, I've done it. But there's someone at the other end that's got water just to, spray your feet. And any coals or getting to your toes, that, it's gone. So there is no burning of your feet at all. Absolutely amazing. It's the metaphor. But it can be, if you don't get yourself into that state, that mindset, and he spends all day getting you into that peak state to be able to do it. And literally it's like, go, boom, boom, boom. So what is it that you want to achieve? Literally focus on being in that state, but celebrate afterwards. Celebrate the success. And I think, yeah, I did 5. I've never really celebrated. I've said it a few times, but that was.
You gotta celebrate it. That is a whole lot of too much walking in the fire.
I was like, oh gosh, those were
that is success.
You do it 5 times and you don't brag about it enough, right? So I'm going, what's going on here? Why are you?
It is the first time I hear about it, Shireen, as well.
Exactly. Why are you not bragging about this firewalk that you've done and what it is that you released and what it is that, and it's really, and what's so important is to recognize how all of a sudden that gets downscaled. And I think this is the key for what we're talking about really today.
Yeah.
Just don't downscale your successes, whatever they are, right? Yeah. That doesn't mean to say you must rest on your laurels. No, that's not what we're meaning. But that's often what people think, hey?
Yeah.
But it is really about just really with honest, what's the word I want to say? Just honesty, looking at it and going, yeah, I'm actually proud of myself.
Yeah.
I've done this. I'm really pleased, and just really take those moments to be and feel that radiate through you. Because if you don't let it radiate through you, other parts of your body don't get that information.
No,
and then of course they're the bits that get stuck.
There's the other aspect of this to acknowledge, I guess, is success for me was the second time I was part of the fire crew, because the first time I wasn't in I didn't have the sort of the stamina to lift or strength to lift the wheelbarrow with the hot coals in. So I was just on one of the lanes helping. I think I was at the end encouraging people when they finished, because there it's like, high five, you did it, high five, you did it, really celebrating in that moment. But I made a point of the second time I was on the fire crew was saying, I want to do the wheelbarrow. And I did it. It's like, yes, I wheeled those hot coals.
That's amazing.
And you did a very important job. There would have been no hot coal walking if you hadn't taken those coals.
That is success.
Yeah. So it's embracing it. It's embracing all sorts of success. So yes.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Did you get breakthrough? After walking through, did you get breakthrough? Did you release anything?
Oh yes, I remember releasing stuff at the time. I can't remember what it was because it's so many years ago now. It's got to be like 20 years ago. I was doing all of that circuitry. But yes, I did, and it would take me a few days to then sort of get over and move on. But just, I think it's maybe a case of actually recognizing how much, as I was saying, I think in the beginning, I did in that time with all the trainings, everything, all the experiences. I've never really sat and acknowledged or said. It's just like gone from one to another, and yeah, and where I am now is, and I think recognizing how calm I am, because a lot of people say you're very calm, and it took a while for me to go, oh, yeah, never used to be. Used to be a lot of anger in there, yeah, but I hadn't realized at the time the level of anger, and now I can recognize it because I can acknowledge and embrace that success of really getting that stillness and that peace and that calmness, and letting go of anger. And I think there's something here for people to do, is to actually embrace failure as well, because sometimes we fear failure. So again, because we're constantly, well, we don't want to fail, we actually miss the success, because we're constantly facing that fear of, well, I'm not going to get it right. There's perfectionism, there's a lot of other things that would stop you, but there's that fear of failure. But actually it's through failure. Is it one of the quotes? Hang on. Where are we? Success is going from failure to failure, learn from them and start again. Richard Branson. So there's another aspect of success. Failure to failure. Let yourself fail. It doesn't mean you are a failure. And that's what people tend to do. They'll collapse. All it means is you haven't succeeded to achieve what you wanted to achieve. So embrace the failure. It's like, okay, learn from it. Move to the next one, because eventually, as Edison found, with his light bulbs, wasn't it? It was like, well, that's just another way I know doesn't work. That's just another way I doesn't work. Eventually, you will find and get the one that does
find
work.
a way. Yeah. You'll find a way. I don't like people who fail and then give up.
Because
I think when you fail, you have to, I think as a human being, you have to understand, you have to embrace the power of failure, like you're saying, Carol Ann, because power of failure is a self-improvement, and is also, we learn from it as well. When we learn from that, we get the skills on how to move forward and the things that to avoid. We can't avoid failure, but we can learn the skills to improve. So our path can be unique in our success. And also what Sharina was saying, that we chase success always. Never stop to acknowledge our achievement. We just running. I want to succeed. I want to do this. I want to do this. Yeah. But when you do it, there's no celebration. There's no embracing it. It's like now, Carol Ann walked with Anthony Robbins for 5 times and she's never shared it with me. I left out. I feel like I'm being left out. So if any audience, please, if you know that you are part of Ngozi Talk Show's family and you have some success, no matter how small they are or big they are, please feel free to share it. We love to hear your success, or maybe just watching the talk show one day and you go and try something and you succeed. Love to hear that success. I've had so many people giving me feedback that they've watched the talk show and they've gone and do some other things. And I think it's amazing. Yeah, I think it is amazing to actually embrace who you are and embrace that path that is unique, that is authentic. We might look at ourselves and think, you know what, our path is too small, but maybe it's not good enough. But it is good enough as long as you reach for that success that you want. And I believe there is power in it. And we just have to have courage.
Yeah.
Next time, please, everybody, Shireen, What has been your success that you have not shared it with us?
Oh, right. Well, what have I mean, there are a lot of things. I've done parachuting, jumping, and I've done all sorts of crazy things, gone down rivers and ravines on small little dinghies and just gone crazy, gone underwater and landed sort of 50 meters down, just these water tunnels, which is really bizarre. Yeah, I'm pretty much I'm one of these thrill seekers. So for me, that's kind of thing. But yet, I think what's really interesting, and that was something that I love to bring here a little bit, is sometimes, I mean, I read a long time ago, and I have a sense that actually the kinds of things that we do don't always translate across, in the sense. So, okay, so for example, I can go and do crazy things. I really, jumping out of a plane is not scary for me. What's really interesting, standing in front of a crowd of people might be a hell of a lot different. So I might do something where I'm really able to do stuff, and yet in front of other people, it could be completely different. Mm. And there's something about matching the right level or the right thing to help with that success. So there's something really interesting, because when we think about success, we really need to know what is the right test for it that's going to help for each of those fears or each of those things that are worrying us. And when we get the right test or the right test for that right fear, then things change, because we've now allocated where it really truly belongs. So what's the intrinsic thing that's in that process? Look, standing in front of other people is very different from jumping out of a plane, where it's just you. But in front of other people, it's about you being seen by other people and being rejected. So it's got a completely different fear. And so part of the success, I guess, is really making sure that you don't try and match all your things against, well, if you shouldn't feel worried about standing in front of a stage if you can jump out of a plane, right? They don't correlate. And it's really important that we understand that, because even though, and I guess this is where I'm thinking, Caroline, you've walked 5 times across, okay? And you're still working on stuff, 5 times across the thing. And there's still bits of you that may still be slightly uncomfortable or thinking, oh, I'm not good enough or whatever. And yet you've done this fantastic thing, right? That most people wouldn't even dare to do. So I think that it's really important that we kind of look at that. And at the same time, as we were talking about successes, I really want to also talk about the attachment to success. Because I think it's really important that if we live with this idea that we've got to succeed, and we make validate ourselves according to that, then we're going to fail at some point in our life, and we're going to feel it as a thing to ourselves, to our person, instead of just seeing, oh, this is just something. There's something not right there. Something's not matching, but it's not about me. I can deal with that. It's a very different dynamic. And so I think the most important thing, if you're starting to feel anxious about succeeding, you've attached your success to your value of who you are. And it isn't. Your success tells you nothing about who you are as a person. It's just an outward manifestation of things that you do. But real success, when you really are successful and feel success, so there's a difference of feeling successful and being successful. When you feel successful, you will see every day very differently. You will walk in that success, and you'll talk from that success, and you'll be brave, because you will feel it. You will feel you'll have this sense of confidence that experiencing that success brings. And it won't be striving, it'll be being. So I think that's a really, there are a couple of points that I thought was quite important for me, certainly as I've been kind of sitting here thinking about it.
Yeah.
It kind of made sense to me.
I think that feeling successful, as opposed to being successful. And you're saying it is that once you feel it, there's something that's like there's a naturalness to the whole being successful in a way, because it's always interlinked, but actually feeling it is far stronger. It is a feeling, and it's something that it means you've allowed yourself to embrace it, rather than it's something that's a cerebral thing or you being successful. There isn't a whole embodiment of it. You're only up here in your head. You're not actually using the whole of your brain, because if you feel the success, you're actually using the whole of your brain to feel that.
Yeah.
And because you're in your body, you're in your heart, there's a wholeness that's happening. And that is a really exciting place to be. So I love that, what you were saying there. And so recognizing the two. And but again, don't chase it if it's not coming naturally. Just, it's like, well, sit down and look at, well, what does success mean for you? What have you made it mean? What is it that you are expecting yourself to have done or to have achieved in the different areas of your life? Because maybe there's certain areas you feel more successful than others. So what is it that you are defining as success? Sit down and have a look at it. And then maybe come back to every day, just on a daily basis. Well, what have I achieved today? What could I say was successful? Going back to the very beginning, when you said about just waking up in the morning. I think it's something I thought, it's just getting up and getting out of bed. For me, sometimes that's a success. I've actually got up and out of bed.
Yeah, because some people might be sleeping that moment and you're up.
Yeah. It's also, there are some days where it's okay, I've managed to get up the stairs and go and have a shower, but I don't acknowledge that in that day. So maybe on a daily basis, have some journal that just is a success journal. What have I achieved today? That helps you to really feel, well, there are some things that are working in your life and it is successful. And stop comparing yourself to other people. Okay, maybe they're out there, they're, in the news, they look like they're doing big work. That's their life. Your life is your life, and how it pans out is down to you. And actually, we're all here to do something different in the world, and we're all part of the big puzzle. And what we do actually has a ripple effect out around the world. So never underestimate the power of any small changes that you manage to achieve within your state of being, within your life, because that has a massive impact around the world. And so, I think one great thing to do would be on a daily basis to sit down at the end of the day and say, right, what success can I embrace today? And even if it's the same one every day, embrace, by the end of the week, embrace the success. Well, gosh, I did it every day. It was, it was more than just one day. That in itself is success. It's reframing your mindset. So 2 things there. Define what success means for you. And is there something that maybe you need to reframe about it? And keep a daily success journal to really then be able to focus on what's successful. Because I know I don't. People say, okay, so how did this month go with your business? And I'm going, well, I don't know. And then when I sit and think about it, oh, actually this happened and all that happened. Wow, I'd completely moved past it. So And then it's being able to celebrate it, isn't it? The success. How could you celebrate success? How could you share it with somebody? Because sharing is another success in itself, if you can share that success. And there's so many levels, isn't there?
Yeah, there is so much there, Carol Ann. It's hard to unpick all of that. And yeah, I think that reminding yourself at the end of the day is such a powerful thing. And I think I have a thought, and I believe that, if the more we think thoughts, the more we're able to catch our thoughts that are negative, and we're able to switch them, that is the biggest and greatest success you can ever do. Because that just swaps you from a different one kind of thinking into another, which is more expansive. And I think that anything that we do where we look at ourselves and we honor and respect ourselves, will give us any form of success. But we have to take that time to acknowledge ourselves in that process. So at the end of the day, if we recognize there are things that we strived for, we didn't achieve, and there are other things that we did, it's very useful at that moment in time to say, okay, if I'm feeling this this feeling of negativity because I'm balancing it around, well, that's not what success is. Success would be for me to turn this around, just to turn this around so that I can go to sleep knowing that tomorrow I'll be a hell of a lot better. I think it's really important to kind of just swap things around so that people can start to see that, once the negative mindset's gone, or at least that mindset that's causing us to be really anxious and allows us to go into that place of peace and flow, we won't be necessarily basing our life on success anymore. We will be looking at it as just a natural part of our being in this. That's a belief, what I think is true. But of course, by the words of success, it normally means an evaluation on some level, doesn't it? So we're looking at and we're evaluating, which makes it really harder to have it as an embodied feeling. But you can do that every time you swap around, every time you celebrate yourself, every time you take time to do a deep acknowledgement. That's when we get closer to that sense of joy. And of course, acknowledgement is and forgiveness and those kind of emotions are really high order emotions that take us almost to that level of soul state or God state. So we want more of that.
Absolutely. What do you think, Namsa?
I love that. I think we have to create actually there are limitations when it comes to success. We all define success different. I like your success, Carol Ann, and I like Shireen's success, because if some people, their success is based on wealth, power, and status. And unfortunately, when you go to heaven, your status does not exist on earth. It never existed. There is no such a thing as CEO, or you can either be thrown to hell or be thrown to heaven. It doesn't matter what you are, but it's embracing what we are becoming. That's what is important, because, like Carol Ann was saying, we get up in the morning, we have a shower, we get dressed, and when we are getting up at that time, somebody else is setting up the alarm, struggling to get up, but you have the courage to actually get up and have a shower, have breakfast, and then do the work and helps your clients and stuff. To me, is just bringing a smile to somebody's face, because when a client comes to you, they're in pain. When children comes back from school, like myself, I have children, they are hungry. Having to go to the kitchen and make them some food, or maybe when they were on strike. My other daughter, she's in a state school, and the other one, she's private. The other one is going in September, but the one that is going in September, she's a state school, which is, they had a 2-day strike. That means I was doing the work at home and doing the work, and she's confused. She's like, Mommy, you do realize the home is for me to do the things that I want. You're not my teacher. So I'm like, okay, but we've got to, just because we're not at school, it doesn't mean we don't have to do the work. We still have to do the work. And she was like, oh, okay then. And she does the work, and she's winding me up in the process. But when she's finished, I can see the smile, and I'm so relieved that, okay, she's finished her maths and all those things, which is it is a success. But some parents, when you talk to them, or even other people, when you talk to them about success, they believe that success is all about power, it's all about wealth, or it's all about the title, but it's not. To me, I love to see the success to me is somebody who gets on with things. When I see somebody saying, you know what, Nomsa, I love to do this one day, or I love to study, register with the university, or I love to be a coach, I love to one day resign my work and start my own business. And then a few months later, I see them and they tell me, oh, you remember I told you I wanted to do this? I'm like, yeah, what you up to? And like, yeah, I go on with it. And now I'm a coach, or now I've started my business, or I got promotion. To me, that's success. Because when somebody actually take a step forward, having the courage to actually do the things that they love, or maybe going to the park for the day, for walk, just having a relationship with yourself, or having some me time is a reward. It's like, you know, I did not spend time with you. I spent time on my own, had some me time. That is success. Because when you're on your own, business is created, or activities are created. You get to think about your life. You get to get creative, or you just get to relax without anybody bothering you. So to me, those are the things that I call it success. When I'm screaming and shouting, or the clients are screaming and shouting, I'm on the other side and I'm keeping it cool. And then when I'm finished keeping it cool, they got the results that I want. I'm like, okay, hallelujah. That is success. So I think we just have to, we have to embrace our true authenticity. Like, who said the people go around and comparing themselves to other people? So I think it's very important for us to, Carol Ann, you spoke about failures as well. And also another key is to actually understand the principles of the path of natural success, what it is, basically cultivating growth mindset. So if we understand all that, and our beliefs, and our development, and also the willingness to actually to take on the challenge, to me, that is success, because we persevere in the face of obstacles, and adopting the growth mindset as well. So that to me is a success. Anyone wants to add? Or actually, it's 5 past. Do you guys have anything you want to add? You muted, Carol Ann, and normally it's me, not you.
There's just one other sort of aspect of this I'd like to just sort of share for a minute. Sometimes we stop ourselves from being successful. We've sort of got successful to a certain point, but then we stop because there's a fear that we may lose something or someone, and therefore we hold ourselves back. So this was something else that was discussed the other evening that came up. So again, are you okay, you might be acknowledging the success that you've had, but where are you stopping yourself from being more successful because of that fear of, well, who might you lose? What might you lose? And sometimes there are people just drop by the wayside. Your life changes. And of course we fear that change, but it's that fear of loss. So it's something to explore, something to look at. You know, what you experienced that.
Definitely. A lot of clients, thank you, Caroline. A lot of clients fear success with the consequence of what might happen, and particularly often what's the burden they're going to carry after that. If I have more money, if I have more of this, I'm going to be asked more of, and I feel that I won't be able to cope. So there's a lot of, people often think it's about success or failure, but it's often what will happen if I am successful. And often that's the bigger one rather than the other one, which is bizarre. And obviously that is such an important aspect. So thank you for bringing that up. And I mean, certainly for people like that, I often give them a statement. I would rather be unsuccessful than have this, right? Often is a useful statement to kind of bring these two truths.
Yes.
I'd rather have a rubbish life and if you're carrying an internal image of your mother, and have my mother safe and there and loved and whatever, break my relationship with her. If you put these two together, after a while you go, no, I don't think I want that anymore. But it takes a little bit of time to do. But once you get the right two that fit together, my goodness, it can really shock you, your whole body, and bring you into a different place of awakeness, I think. And I loved what Namsa said, which was also about, sitting there listening to her client, and then Yvette ran off, and then she sort of just comes, oh, okay, I'm here. And that's more what I think of the state of being in success, not necessarily being attached to anything, but just knowing quietly that the success that's going to come may just be that this person's quiet or this person gets their solution, and we're not attached to the success. And we don't see it as success either way. We just go, oh, okay, they've come to where they need to be. And I think that's a really beautiful, natural place to be able to manage, if you can get to that state of well, what's the word? Not necessarily being attached, but just kind of noticing, being aware, and kind of shifting as you see, something's moving, but that you shift with it and ask those kinds of questions that bring you into this equanimity that living success would be like. I mean, I think for me, when I talk about, I do something called radiance therapy or RAPSI, and this is really about imagining that, the light source is radiating through and out of you. And if you think about that, that means that real success is that you just constantly have this light radiating out of you with no restriction. And that is that kind of level of peace, and that kind of level of just knowing and happiness and experience of being, without being attached to what I must accumulate. Because I think that's what we base our successes on, our accumulation of things. So I think there's one thing we have to redefine success for ourselves. Really look at, is it from failure, or is it from, if I have it, what will happen? And, what is it really? Is just the fact that I got out of bed successful? Yeah. Or that I was able to just sit here quietly and listen to someone. It's success. So really clock up your little successes, and you'll see they're quite big in the long run.
Any words of encouragement, Carol Ann, before we leave? And also tell the audience who you are and where they can find you.
Oh, yes, I am. I am Carol Ann Cooper, and you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn. And I also have a Facebook group called Get Your Book Written, because as the writing facilitator, I help women to become more productive with their writing and get their story written. And just last word of advice, just a quote really. Success does not consist in never making mistakes, but in never making the same one a second time. George Bernard Shaw. Oh, a lovely one that is.
I love that. Yes. How many times do you come back around the circle?
Yes.
I think when you just don't get back there again, that is the bliss spot. The bliss spot.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. I think for me, there really is try not to be attached to success. Try to spend a little time looking, is this me chasing something that really won't make me that happy? Because if I achieve it, if I have it, will I truly be happy? How long will it take me before unhappiness creeps in and I have to do more? I think that's a really important question to check in with regards to your feelings of what you want to achieve. And then just kind of take a projection of what your life would be like when you're 5-10 years time. What do you want to see? Would you rather be happy, or do you want to be so anxious that you're constantly on this bandwagon? So I think if you can do that, you'll be much closer to understanding how success is for you. So I'm Sharon Lovegrove, and I help women that suffer with imposter syndrome, that really want to be perfectionists, and particularly mothers that are going to be pregnant or that are pregnant and have children. So I help them just develop their mindset so that they can get to have peace and harmony in their life. So yeah, you can get me on my Facebook group, which is Sovereignty, and you can, which is really about helping women overcome imposter syndrome. And I'm on Facebook and I'm in LinkedIn. So you just need to type in my name and you'll find me. I'm the only one. Unique.
For me, I'll just leave you guys with this, the topic, what also Carol Ann has mentioned: embrace failure and understand that failure is a natural part of success, and also understand the power of the mindset. Those are the key, and also the natural habit of success, what it means to successful people, and also balancing self-improvement and self-acceptance, and embracing your uniqueness, and also when you achieve a success, celebrate your small winnings, and understand the role of resilience in achieving success as well, and the power of collaboration, of connection is very, very important. And also, what does it mean when your life is fulfilled? So what does it look like when you really feel that your life is fulfilled? Some people, they can define it in so many ways. You can find your ways how you define it. And if you really are struggling with all these things, and you can get in touch with our setting Gossip Talk shows to help you find your own voice and lead from within. And the coaches, that's what they're here for. They've gone through their own challenges, and they are successful themselves. So you can get in touch. If you can't get in touch with them, you can get in touch with them through the website www.hseia.com. And we are here Monday to Friday as well, 1 p.m. UK time. And we'll see you next week. Live with grace, everyone, and God bless.
Bye.
God bless.